Get out of that bed, wash your face and hands. Get out of that bed, wash your face and hands.
So let's just be real, all right? Steve is basically the most normal person in society. But on this trip, he's like an outcast. We can't figure him out, man. He over there drinking coffee every morning and shit.
My soul, you're the devil in nylon hose. Seen the hard ride.
He was trying like real hard to fit in at first, and he's actually clowning with us now.
Shake, rattle and roll. Shake, rattle and roll. Shake, rattle and roll. Oh, you don't do right, child. Save your doggone soul.
Okay, let's start talking about police. Because we've had nothing but problems with the police.
Well, what do you think? You're driving a hippie bus with long hair? So what do you think we should do when we're pulled over by the police? Should we just comply?
I would comply. They are better armed than you are.
What just happened?
We just got pulled over by some cops down on 61 coming into Baton Rouge.
I've never been handcuffed twice in one day, and I've never had a gun pulled on me, ever, until last night.
And so when they pulled us over, they like wanted to search the vehicle, check everybody's rap sheet.
They really scared us, man.
He refused them to search the vehicle, but they could have brought the dogs out instead.
All the bad things that other countries think about America, this is one of those bad things is.
Everybody know what that is, right? Passport, global ID, right? Why hand a Louisiana cop this motherfucking passport? He looked at it and said, "Do you have ID?"
What were you telling us about New Orleans? What do we have to be careful of?
Racism, violence. Be careful walking around in them neighborhoods, because it still hadn't been cleaned up yet. Every now and then, they're still finding bodies down there. Watch out for diseases. When it floods down there, they have snake alerts and fire ant alerts because they go swimming down the streets.
Whew, landed, man. Here we are in New Orleans.
75% of the tragedy was man-made. There's a rule, I believe, that for every foot of levee height, you need 4 feet of width. If you go to 17th Street and London Avenue and all the places where the breaks occurred, you'll see that the levees are far too narrow. The Corps of Engineers built models, they tested them, and they collapsed just like it did when the storm hit. So that time bomb was sitting out there. I mean, I'm a white person from New Orleans, and I know what people were saying all over the country, but the point is that there was no political will, and for 6 days they did absolutely nothing. Nothing. No water, no food, nothing. Of course it was politically motivated by an administration who'd rather blow up innocent people in Iraq than take care of our own American citizens here.
Post-Katrina Portraits are an art and story documentary project of the Common Ground Collective. The very first ones are those that evacuated just before the hurricane. Following that, we have survival stories of those that stayed during the hurricane, those that evacuated in the chaos afterwards, and those that stayed the whole time. They're all written on by those that were drawn. When the person writes on it themselves, it's unique to their voice. We tried to get them to focus on what was anecdotal, what was narrative, what was their own personal experience. And so it's a vast, decentralized base of information that tries to be very inclusive. People from different neighborhoods, different class and education backgrounds, both hurricane survivors, those that chose to stay, those that evacuated and came back and made it their struggle to return, rebuild, renew, and reclaim the Gulf region, their heritage there, those that came in solidarity to engage in explicit political struggle to do that, and those that came with a mentality of charity as well.
USA is not supposed to be a third world country. I just rode through these blocks, and I'm telling you, my heart is going out. The story is not the hurricane. The story is that a year later, it still looks the same.
Government? Man, I don't know. They won't take their time. They have people doing their own work up on their houses and homes and stuff, you know, man. They just taking their little money what they have, man, and just putting the work into their homes themselves, you know?
Right.
Cause waiting on the government, man, you don't know when that'll be, man, you know? You just have to do what you have to do to survive out here. But I thank God one thing, I ain't lose my life.
We're going back to our house, which has been devastated, but they tell us we can't drive up our street because the vice president is doing an interview on the street. So they park their Explorer, they walk up with their cameras, and they walk right up to the interview. They're interviewing Dick Cheney.
Look, it says Baghdad right there.
Oh my God.
Kid says to President Cheney, he says, "Fuck you, Mr. Vice President." Well, look at the way they cone the street off, like they freaking own it. They set up their freaking cameras. They don't own this street. People live here. You know, it's just ridiculous. We should be able to drive through here.
That's CBS News.
And, yeah, oh, it's CBS? Okay.
You from here?
Yeah,
How old are you?
16.
Fucking power, man. Keep shutting down the city of New Orleans. I didn't save for like 4.5 hours, man, and I had a whole fucking music video just about done.
Where we going from here? Let's get our souls back. I can't hold back my pain and fears. Where we going from here? My initials should be A&R. Go and ask Kinnaid. I love developing stars, man. Kodak should have to pay. Been influenced by Ray Charles and them cats back in the day. Word is born, hip-hop gave birth to Jam Master Jay.
13 of the younger children in the family had to all be placed on a floating mattress, and they had to float from the 7th Ward all the way to like the Superdome, which is a good distance, and they had to make multiple trips in order to just, you know, to make it out of the storm and survive. And I think people, they don't really understand the significance and magnitude unless you actually go through a hurricane and experienced it firsthand. This was devastating to, you know, to the community and family members. So we just trying to, you know, stay positive and just keep our spirits up and just, you know, move on, just carry on, start over. I think one of the many positive things that I can see firsthand is, you know, after all of this has taken place, it's allowing families to strengthen. When anything happens like that on a magnitude, you know, there's always positive stuff that's gonna come out. I'm originally from the 9th Ward.
And what are you doing now?
Well, for the last year, I've been doing this, just trying to save people's houses.
The reason I'm here is just because, look around, I'm sure you're getting footage of it, but it's a year later, and you know, we're living with rats and cockroaches, and I gutted a house the other day that still has standing floodwater in it from 1 year ago.
This organization that we're working with helps musicians. And so these are all musicians and musicians' families' houses.